want to get your reaction to this awful news, but also what's happening there in Israel.
Well, I woke up to the news. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, called me early this morning, Israel time, to tell me what had happened. She was at the scene of the shooting at the time she called. It immediately began to reverberate throughout the nation of Israel as the morning started taking place and people woke up to the horrible news. Elizabeth, it's been a gut punch to the people of Israel, as if they didn't have enough to be concerned about. This was just a low blow because of the fact that you had two beautiful young people, both of whom have been activists for peace, were actually at a meeting to try to bring Palestinians and Jewish people together to have conversation, and they're murdered in cold blood, even as they leave this event. Both employees of the Israeli embassy to the United States. It, of course, has caused people here to just really wonder what has happened to this world where anti-Semitism has turned from hideous and hateful violence, or rather rhetoric, into this level of violence that results in the death of two people.
Yeah, the protester yelled, "Free Palestine," and "I did it for Gaza." But as you point out, the cruel irony here is this couple was attending an event when they were trying to discuss ways to get more help into the people living in Gaza. Sarah Milgram, one of the victims, organized trips to Israel and volunteered at a group that promotes dialogue between Israelis and Palestinians.
That's what makes this so inexplainable. It just defies common sense that someone would murder these two particular young people. But then again, it's really hard to explain why you would murder anybody, especially because of their religion. Jewish people have to feel as if there's a level of blind, irrational hate. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to push back hard against this hideous anti-Semitism that has captured our college campuses, the streets of America, and quite frankly, around the world. There's really just no basis for it. And when these young people were planning to be in Israel next week to be engaged, they had already purchased the ring. He had purchased the ring. He's an Israeli citizen. I talked to his father this morning. It was heartbreaking to have that conversation. Turned out that he is employed by one of my closest friends here in Israel. I didn't know that at the time. It's a small country. People know each other. They care about each other. But an event like this just rocks them to their core.
Yeah, they were supposed to come to Israel next week. He was going to introduce Sarah, who's an American citizen, to his family there in Israel and then propose to her. You mentioned these demonstrations on college campuses. We're seeing a revival of some of those demonstrations despite all the government pushback on that. Just yesterday, pro-Palestinian protesters were burning the Israeli flag. They took over the library. They shut parts of the campus down. These protests, people get radicalized by watching these protests, according to law enforcement sources.
Well, and what's so ridiculous about it is they don't seem to have any level of education about the Middle East, Israel, or even the things they supposedly are protesting for. They essentially are protesting for Hamas. Now, Hamas has massacred and mutilated 1,200 Israeli innocent civilians. They ripped open the bodies of pregnant women in front of their children. They raped women in front of their families. They burned their bodies. They took 250 hostage. After 600 days, there's still 58 hostages in Gaza. This is something that I can't get my arms around, that anybody would go to the streets of America where we have freedom. We have freedom of speech. We can disagree with the government, scream at the government. But you can't scream things that are so untrue that it inflames people to end up committing acts of utter violence or to impede the rights of Jewish students simply to go to class and get the education. If I were the parent of one of these people on the campus, I'd say, pack your stuff and come home. You're going to get a job. You're going to have to work hard with your hands because you obviously are not getting an education where you are, and I refuse to continue to pay for it.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. You bring up a good point, though. You can protest policy. You can say, we don't want, let's try and find something else besides bombing Gaza, or let's not do this, or even criticize the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu for his decisions. Many Israelis do just that. but to lionize, glamorize, and revere in many ways and salute a terrorist organization with the blood of so many on its hands, not just Israelis and now Americans, but Palestinians. Hamas is responsible for the deaths of Palestinians as well.
Tens of thousands of them. They put their own people in front of military targets intentionally because they don't really care about those human lives. And that's something that these college students, and some of them aren't even college students, they clearly don't understand. They're uneducated idiots who somehow think that they understand the world. But they ought to try free speech in Gaza. Doesn't work real well. The so-called Queers for Palestine ought to go and carry that banner into Gaza, or for that matter, a lot of the nations in the Middle East. You know where they are given the right to say those things? Israel.
Right.
Israel elects its government. They can choose to change it. And you have free speech here. You have freedom of movement, freedom of thought. And these are people who talk about stupid things that aren't true, like apartheid and racism. That's not what Israel is. And I think that's where it's really frustrating. If they had a grain of truth to their protest, it'd be a little easier to tolerate it. But this is supposed to be happening on an education platform. And instead, we have a lot of college administrators that don't have enough spine to stand up and say, if you want to say these hateful things, you're welcome to do it, but not on this campus. And you cannot keep people who are Jewish from going to class. You're not going to be able to do that anymore.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.